You probably think crochet that looks this good takes years of practice and some kind of secret skill that you either have or you don't. It doesn't. And by the end of this video, you're going to see exactly why people are paying a lot of money for something you could make at home in a single afternoon. Let's be honest for a second. Have you ever seen a crochet piece, maybe a bag, a top, or even a simple home decor item, and thought, wow, that looks expensive? And then you find out the person made it themselves, and your first reaction is something like, okay, they must have been crocheting for 10 years. They must have some kind of talent I don't have, because there is no way something that beautiful is easy to make. That thought right there, that's the exact lie that's been keeping a lot of people from even picking up a hook. And I was the same way. I thought the stuff that looked expensive was always the hardest to make. But then I started paying closer attention, and I realized something that genuinely surprised me. The crochet pieces that get the most attention, the ones that make people stop and ask, wait, you made that? Those are almost never the complicated ones. They just look complicated, and there's a big difference. So today, I want to break that idea completely. I'm going to show you what makes crochet look expensive, why it has almost nothing to do with skill level, and how you can start making pieces that genuinely look like they came from a boutique shop, even if you only learned to crochet last week. Now, before we get into the actual details, I want you to think about the last time you saw a piece of clothing or an accessory and thought it looked really high quality. What was it about it that made you feel that way? Most people, when they really think about it, say things like the texture, the color, the way it sat, or the shape of it. And that's the key. It's almost never about how hard it was to make. It's about how it looks and feels. And crochet is exactly the same. Here's the thing about crochet that most beginners don't know. The stitches that give you the most beautiful, rich-looking texture are not always the hardest ones to learn. Some of the most stunning crochet textures in the world come from combining very basic stitches in a slightly different way. That's it. That is literally the secret. Take the moss stitch, for example. If you know how to do a single crochet and a chain stitch, you can do the moss stitch. That's all it takes. And yet, when you look at a finished piece made with the moss stitch, it looks like it came from a high-end store. It has this thick, woven texture that people genuinely mistake for something that cost a lot of money. And it's 2 stitches. 2. That's not advanced crochet. That's beginner crochet with a little bit of intention. The same goes for the waffle stitch. The name even sounds fancy, right? But the waffle stitch is just a combination of double crochets and front post double crochets in a specific pattern. If you've been crocheting for even a couple of weeks, you can make a waffle stitch piece, and the result looks like something you'd see in a trendy home goods store with a price tag that makes you do a double take. Now, let's talk about yarn, because this is where a lot of beginners make a mistake that costs them, and I don't mean money. The mistake is going for the cheapest yarn they can find because they think since they're a beginner, it doesn't really matter. And I get that. I thought the same thing when I was starting out. But the truth is, yarn choice is probably the single biggest factor in whether your finished piece looks cheap or expensive. More than the stitch, more than the pattern, more than almost anything else. You don't have to spend a fortune on yarn, but choosing the right type of yarn for what you're making makes a huge difference. For example, if you're making something like a bag or a structured item, using a cotton yarn or a jute-like yarn gives it this really clean, polished look. Cotton holds its shape. It doesn't get fluffy or stretched out in weird ways. It looks intentional, and items made with cotton yarn tend to look like they were bought, not handmade. And I mean that in the best way. On the other hand, for wearables, things like cardigans, tops, scarves, and shawls, you want something with a bit of drape to it, a yarn that falls nicely and moves with you. Bamboo blends, linen blends, and certain types of acrylic can do this really well without costing you a lot. The point is, match your yarn to your project. Don't just grab whatever's on sale. Spend a little bit of time thinking about what the finished piece needs to do and feel like. That one decision will change everything about how your work looks. Let's also talk about tension because I know some of you are thinking about it. If you've been crocheting for a while and you feel like your work never looks as neat as the ones you see online, tension is usually the reason. And before you panic, no, tension issues are not permanent. They are not a sign that you're bad at crochet. They just mean you haven't found your rhythm yet.
Here's a simple thing that helped me a lot. Instead of worrying about tension while you're working on an actual project, practice on a small swatch first. A swatch is just a small sample piece, maybe 10 stitches by 10 rows, and you work it up before you start your real project. This lets you get your tension consistent before it matters. And consistent tension is what separates crochet that looks a little uneven from crochet that looks like it was made by a professional. That's really all it is, consistency. And here's the good news. The more you crochet, the more consistent your tension becomes naturally. Your hands learn the rhythm and you stop even thinking about it. But until that happens, practicing on a swatch before every project is genuinely one of the best habits you can build. Now, I want to talk about something that nobody really talks about when it comes to making crochet look expensive, and that's finishing. The way you finish a piece, meaning the way you end it, weave in your ends, and sometimes block it, makes an enormous difference in how it looks. And most beginners skip this step or rush through it, and it shows. Weaving in your ends properly is not just about hiding the yarn tails. It's about making sure those tails are actually